Hello, this is Georgia Stathis at starcycles.com. Also, alexandriabase.org, which is our free global database to find anything astrology that you're looking for. I just wanted to throw in a few more pieces of information about the upcoming Jupiter moving into early degrees of Leo since June 30th. Jupiter takes about 12 years to come back to the same sign. Jupiter is known for its ability to be abundant, to be fortunate, to offer opportunities and open roads if you are willing to go on those roads. And Jupiter rules two signs, Pisces and Sagittarius. And a really quick way to see how every 12 years Jupiter might be affecting you as it slowly begins in Leo on June 30th, 2026, is to see where it's moving through your horoscope and not only look at what that house means, which is extremely important, but also to incorporate into that meaning the house where Pisces is and the house where Sagittarius is. This is sort of like a three-dimensional chess rulership kind of transiting, easy to define skill. If Jupiter is, for example, moving through Leo in your sixth house, say you have Leo in the sixth house, which means you have Virgo on the seventh house, then that means that the rising will be the ascendant. Jupiter will rule Pisces, the ascendant, and it will also rule the 10th house of career where Sagittarius is in that particular chart, which means that if Jupiter is moving through the sixth house in Leo, that both the ascendant, Jupiter rules the ascendant Pisces, and the midheaven, Jupiter rules the midheaven, are being processed through the sixth house, which is cleaning and filtering and going through files and figuring out, well, I'd like to expand my identity and my career, including both the first and the 10th house. And how do I do it? And to help you sort through that is to look to see where transiting Saturn is moving, which is going to be in Aries in the second house with Pisces rising. If this is just one example, obviously, if you know your chart, you use this technique. So wherever Jupiter is moving through the horoscope for about a year, and wherever Saturn is moving, Jupiter gives you an opportunity to expand in that area, but the Saturn helps you look realistically at what needs to go away to make that sixth house Jupiter thing happen. Now, the other piece is that on July 26th, and we'll be talking more before then, North Node enters Aquarius, the transiting lunar South Node moves into Leo. That means that over the course of this next year, the end of 26, going into 2027, while transiting Jupiter travels all the way through Leo, at some point in this next 8 to 9 months, if this is summer of 2026, that the transit of Jupiter Leo will be on the transiting South Node someplace in your chart. So this suggests that there's opportunities with Jupiter in that part of your chart, but there's also more precise, more perfect, more optimum opportunities if you also pay attention to the South Node through Leo in that same house, which is about letting go of some of the things that you've outused, outworn, no longer interested in. A simple definition of this might be you're moving into a new house, Jupiter going through the fourth house. But the South Node is there now, which means if you're moving into a new house, you have to dump a lot of stuff from the house that you're moving out of. That's, in many ways, that's metaphor when you think about it. So that's how we look at these things. And, since Jupiter will take a few weeks, maybe a few months to get moving a little faster and in sync with the other planets, this is like putting your foot in the water, putting your toe in the water to try something, but also review, ask questions, research, talk to people who know more about whatever this thing you're looking into, note what they know about it. And by doing the research and doing all that cautiousness, that when Mercury goes direct at the end of this July, because Mercury is going to go do another retrograde, which is a good time to do research, by the way. Mercury is going to retrograde starting on June 29th at 26 degrees of Cancer, 15 minutes. And it will be going direct on July 23rd at 16 degrees Cancer, 18 minutes. and it will catch up to where it left off on August 7th. So there's this weird period between about June 29th and about August 3rd. If you're looking at doing something new with where Jupiter is moving through your chart, then look, first of all, research things, ask questions, check the paperwork, find out if there's any hidden resources someplace that you forgot about. Maybe consider going through some bookkeeping and sorting it out, because Mercury will be retrograde in Cancer, the sign before Leo, which is kind of sorting out the system so you can be dressed for the party when Mercury goes direct. And at some point in late August, going to September, where Mercury will conjoin Jupiter. I mean, it's kind of like in the real estate market. I used to sell real estate. I'm still involved in it in an indirect way. And when cycles were changing, and the cycles are changing because Pluto's just in the beginning of Aquarius, Jupiter's just finishing in Cancer, Uranus is just in the beginning of Gemini, Saturn and Neptune are definitely in the beginning of Aries. They're all in these baby step periods. So whenever we see certain configurations in the sky in the investment business or real estate business, we see these cycles. Sometimes the cycles are up, and sometimes the cycles are beginning to go sideways or down. And so there is this kind of standing on the top of a pin, trying to figure out which way it's going to go in terms of housing values, et cetera. And actually, in the most recent news, I don't know what the final signing is going to be, but there was a bipartisan vote in Congress to try to get more affordable housing. If the decision to do that is a yes, then there's going to be more opportunities with these upcoming cycles. If that final vote is a no, then what that suggests is that the market will soften. This is not a prediction. This is an opinion. I don't make predictions. I give an opinion that the market will soften. And when the market begins to soften, people become more reasonable about the kind of deal or contract or agreement that will work for both them and for you. And this can not just be in real estate. This can be in a contractual agreement about a project, contractual agreement about whether you want to stay in a business with a partner or not, contractual agreement about whether you want to move in with somebody or not move in with somebody. This next few weeks, as Mercury is going retrograde in the sign of Cancer, which is ruled by the moon, which is the home, who do you want to live with? Who do you need to not live with? What do you need to do if you're going to be moving or making a change? What have to you let go of, And that's probably the good busy work, because the bottom line is until these slow planets like Pluto goes direct in October at 3, when Uranus, which is going to go retrograde on Uranus goes retrograde on September 10th at 5 Gemini and will go all the way back to 1 Gemini in early February of next year. So there's another early degree thing. So this is, try something. If it doesn't work, if you don't know what you're doing, do the research. Try something. If it doesn't work and you've done your research, then look for something else. Don't jump. This is a really important thing to remember right now with Saturn going through Aries, is to learn to be not so American. I hate to say it. Instead of, oh, this looks like a good thing, I want that, or this looks like a good thing, I want that. But be a little bit more strategic in terms of what decisions you make, in terms of buys or impulses, or what's motivating you to take action. The more careful you are about your plan, the equally more successful you will be because of that plan. And, again, it's the same thing. It's Saturn, Saturn doesn't say, okay, here's the door, I'm opening it for you, it's really easy. It requires a little bit of work. It requires focus. It requires more of your time. Saturn doesn't, waste time, but he sure doesn't like anybody else to waste time either. And to get wise, if you don't know something, then ask a question. And don't be afraid to ask a question because you're afraid that you're going to be judged. Another Saturn problem, I'm going to be talking a lot about why we don't take action, the anatomy of fear at UAC in September of 2026 in the Chicago conference. I'm also going to speak on rulerships and how to incorporate this, a three-dimensional view. But, where Saturn is in a person's chart is where, especially when they're younger, there has been some sort of either restriction or limitation, or the sense, because it's your chart, that you have a limitation or that you can only go so far. Saturn's the last planet we can see in the universe, and the ancients probably thought you only can go so far, then you drop off the edge of the earth, but there obviously are other planets outside of that. So the flexibility of changing views that have become so structured and so rigid that they keep you from moving to the next step. And so rather than jumping and saying, well, I'm going to do this because it's a decision, which might not be the right choice, take those baby steps. If you are so rigid about your position, or so rigid about how you see somebody, or so rigid about whether you want to stay in this job or not, even though you don't like it, then maybe start to think creatively without judging yourself about how are the baby steps that I can change this. Maybe I can work a few hours a week, or maybe I can take a class to learn something that I really want to know more about, but I don't know anything about. That's always a good door, a good portal to go through when you're trying to find a way out of a situation that feels like you've been frozen and locked in time with it. So, there's all of this. And with all these planets in the next few weeks being sextile, and you're going to hear it all over the internet. Everybody's talking about, the cradle, the sextiles. The bottom line on a sextile is it's a 60-degree distance, which is interesting because the number 6 in numerology is a really good number for relationships. But the definition of a sextile is the combination of one's ability, skill, Mars, and an opportunity. And that's Uranus, being in the right place at the right time and being prepared. That's the definition of a sextile. And actually, if you want to know a lot more about aspects and how to read them, I actually taught a course for Astrology Hub, Essentials of Aspects. And actually, they're doing a promotion right now. I don't know when you're going to see this podcast, but part of the promotion for the new monthly lunar club is that you will also receive apparently my aspects course, which was one of the best courses I feel I've ever taught, because I spent 6 months, literally 6 months, Saturn, working on trying to make this as clear as possible so it doesn't seem to be such a daunting thing for people to learn. Because one of the things that happens in astrology, Saturn requires work. Uranus, Saturn, they're pairs, really. Saturn requires work, and it requires years, and it requires listening. Saturn and Aries, learning to listen to other people's views. You don't have to agree with them, but listening, or listening to other ways, especially in astrology, how they do astrology, and taking what works for you with what you do. And it's true in any job. If you're thinking of leaving a job that has potential for you to be independent, well, start listening to the people who are outside of the industry, who've been in the industry. Start, thinking about some of the ways your industry can be altered, molded into something very different that's uniquely part of your unique self. These are the times we are in. And the only thing that can get in your way as the South Node enters Leo and is squared by Chiron is to check the ego at the door. Because the South Node in Leo is about letting go of the parts of the ego that keep you from being with other people. The South Node in Leo is about letting go of parts of you that keep you from keeping your heart open to other people. And to heal with transit Chiron in Taurus for just a few months, square the nodes in Pisces and Virgo right now for a few more weeks, to heal the things that keep you from moving to the next step. So I'll see you soon, sometime in future space here on my podcast. I hope to see you at UAC for what seems to be a wonderful conference. And we will be having a new 2027 Star Cycles cheat sheet coming out sometime around middle September. And also, I am writing a memoir book, and I'm also writing a book on archetypes and myths, which is one of the reasons that I backed off on seeing clients, period. If you would like to wait, if I come back to doing it, it won't be probably till next year. But if you do not want to wait, but want some reputable referrals, just go to our website at starcycles.com, go under consultations, and go to the very bottom of the page where there is a PDF you can download for referrals. I trust these people, and I trust you to find the right path with the right person. Thank you. This is Georgia Stathis at starcycles.com.